Hello, and welcome to Improbable Things. I'm J. Grace Pennington, and this is my podcast where I share 6 improbable thoughts before breakfast, which for this podcast consists of 6 thoughts about reading, writing, or storytelling in general. So I thought for a moment today I actually would stop to just say hello if you're a newer listener. And then I had the thought the other day that if you are a little bit newer, I haven't explained the title of this podcast in quite a while, I think since I began it a few years ago. So I thought I'd just give a little summary of what it means. So it's kind of a merging of 2 different quotes. The title actually comes from a quote by Rod Serling, where he said, "Fantasy is the improbable made possible, and science fiction is the improbable made possible." And I just love the essence of that quote, and since science fiction is kind of my main genre, I thought I'd go with that. And then the 6 things comes from a quote from, I can't remember if it's Alice in Wonderland or Alice Through the Looking Glass, but the White Knight tells Alice, sometimes I believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. So I kind of merged those 2 and came up with my 6 improbable things before breakfast. And that's kind of the kernel of an idea that got me going on this podcast. So there's the origin story for you. And I also have 6 things to share with you this morning. So let's get started with that. So number 1, I got my upcoming book, Firmament Progenitor, back from my editor. So I am rushing to finish going over edits. His edits, as always, were excellent, caught lots of things that I missed, and then also had some really good points for things that just needed to be clarified a little bit. And then I also, it's a great feeling to make your editor cry. So that was some good feedback. And so it's really so great that I've had the same editor for I think all but the first couple books of the series. And so we've worked together probably about a decade at this point, if not longer. And so to have a relationship with someone like that where you know who you can go to, and we've built up a lot of trust, we've both been able to see each other improve in our work. It's just such a gift. I'm so grateful that we've been able to have that. And he's also a good friend of mine, so it's just been wonderful to be able to work together for so many years, and he does a great job. So I just need to go over those edits, make a few small changes, and then kind of just go over everything again with a fine-tooth comb, really try to catch any typos that have slipped through all these rounds of editing, and then hopefully get it off to my formatter in about another week so that she has about a week to get the formatting done, and then we can get it up on, for publication. But I'll keep you updated, of course. Number 2, I thought I would just mention there's this thing on Kindle Direct Publishing called a countdown deal, and I have seen it on the dashboard and not really know what it was, and so I've never really messed with it. But I'm wanting to do more with book promotion. I've really been working on that this year. I'm doing promos and ads and things like that. And so I thought when I was looking for another promotion to do, I should look at what this countdown deal is. So I guess basically you get Amazon to discount your ebook, but it's for a limited time, and they can see the time counting down when they go to the book. So I thought, well, that sounds like kind of fun. It kind of gives you a literal ticking clock for how long this deal is going to last. You better snatch it up. So because I've done almost no promotion for it and have made almost no sales, I thought I'd try it out with my book, If Stars Can Break the Darkness Down, which is a collection of poetry and prose from about the last decade or so of my life that I published a couple of years back. And so I tried, so later today, it's going to be on sale for 99 cents. And then I don't remember how long, I think after a couple days, it bumps up to $1.99. And then a couple days after that, we'll go back up to the normal price, which is $2.99. So I'll be curious to see how that goes. And then also, I don't know, I think that is kind of a fun idea for a promotion where not only do you have the book discounted, but you can actually see how long it's going to last. Because I know that's a question I sometimes have when a book is on sale is okay, do I need to grab this now? Or, how urgent is it? So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, if you haven't checked out my book, If Stars Can Break the Darkness Down, today, and I think for a couple days, but Amazon will tell you exactly how long. It'll be 99 cents, so this would be a good time. So number 3, I've continued to get episodes out on my Kindle Vella entry called In the Long Term Clean Romance, and I don't know why I always forget. Every time I go to write a book, I forget just how painful writing a first draft is. And then in this case, actually putting the draft out there for the world, which is a little bit scary. And there's just, I don't know, like I've always talked about, like, it's so weird to love being a writer. Like, it's absolutely something that is a part of me and will always be a part of me. But in so many ways, I really hate actually writing. Like, it's so difficult, and it just feels like you're like trudging through quicksand. Not always, but so much of the time. But one thing that it is helpful that I've been doing this for so long, and I have churned out so many first drafts at this point, because I'm able to look back, because while you're, at least for me, I shouldn't speak for anyone else, but for me as a writer, while I'm going through that first draft, you feel so much of the time like, this is the worst book ever written. This is so boring. No one will want to read this. Like, it's awful. Why am I even doing this? Like, all those kinds of feelings. And then every single time I've finished a book and gone back and looked at it, even just in the first draft, I've said, oh, this is actually not that bad. Like, this is actually pretty good. So I know that that's the truth, even though I feel right now, and I mean, who knows? Every time I tell myself, maybe this is the exception. Maybe it really just is this bad. But I tell myself it's most likely true that this is actually not that bad, that it's actually, okay. A first draft is not going to be perfect anyway, but no book is going to be perfect, but you know what I mean. So just being able to tell myself, probably it's really okay. Like, it's really not the worst thing ever written. And it's not as boring as it seems right now. So I have to recall that, but it's still hard. It's so hard to push through when you have those feelings. So I'm glad I've learned to do it, but I have not yet learned to enjoy it. So we'll see, maybe someday. So number 4, I have to keep y'all updated on how my oldest daughter, Violet, my 6-year-old, is doing with all her reading and writing. So she has taken the past few weeks to letter writing, and she writes letters basically every day. We don't send all of them, and they are, her writing and spelling, I feel like, is good for her age, but they're still can be a little difficult to decipher. So I always have her read them to me, and then if I decide to send them on to somebody, then I include a little translation. Like, I just take a piece of paper and write what the letter says. And so it's been really fun to see her letters to grandparents, friends, other family members, and also a lot of them are just to me and her dad and her sisters. And she's obsessed lately with the idea of us having a party, so she writes little letters to us in the family every day to invite us to her party. And then she wrote this letter to her great-grandparents the other day. I haven't decided whether I'm going to send it or not, because the letter was about how she wanted to write to them and she wanted to have a party with them because they're both so old, and don't they know how old they are? And I was trying so hard not to die laughing while she was reading it to me, because it was just so funny. And I'm sure, like, my mother-in-law pointed out, she's like, you should send it to them. They do know that they're old. But it was so funny. And I love her sweet, heart wanting to just write letters to everybody. So that's our current phase. We're using up a lot of paper, but it's totally worth it because it's so much fun. So on my currently reading, 2 days ago, I finally finished A Woman of No Importance, and I did not care for it. I'm actually not sure if I'm going to go to book club, because I just really didn't like it, and I don't feel like discussing it. I'm not going to say it was a pointless read, because I did learn a lot of things about a side of World War II I knew nothing about, and that was really fascinating. And there really were a lot of truly amazing things about this woman, and she had incredible gifts and accomplished a lot of incredible things. Like, that's all true. But for one thing, it was, in my opinion, very badly written. It was just very hard to follow. There was a lot of editorializing, and just I didn't ever really get a lot of emotion from it. Like, I want to feel something for these people, and it just felt very dry. And given the exciting subject matter, that was even sort of more frustrating. And then personally, for me, there was a lot of just feminist overtones. And again, like, it wasn't even really about the woman herself and what she did so much as just the author and the way she kept interjecting how, well, and then this man came in and they paid him more because he was a man, and they didn't want to send women to the front line or whatever, stuff like that, like, constantly. And it just got kind of old. And I also, again, with the editorializing, then I'm like, well, you don't really know whether they paid him more just because he was a man. Like, maybe there was another reason. Like, you don't know people's motivations. So I was just super irked by that. But I am wanting lately to learn more about World War II, so that was valuable. So I don't know, I wouldn't really recommend it, but it's not like it was awful. I just had a really hard time getting through it. So we'll see if I can bring myself to go to the discussion tonight, because I think a lot of other people really did like it. And I found that this is probably immature, but I don't mind loving a book that everyone else hates, but I don't like hating a book that everyone else loves. So I don't know. We'll see. But I'm also back now to reading the Pickwick Papers, and got back to that yesterday, and it's just so much fun. Like, talk about writing and writing style. Like the story is stupid and everything that happens is silly, but the writing is just phenomenal, and it's a pleasure to read because of that. So it really does make all the difference. So number 6, there's one thing that has been really helping motivate me in both my writing itself and the business side of writing lately, is a course that I watched through from the Great Courses. So I've loved the Great Courses for years and years. I used to have a bunch on DVD, just recently got rid of them because I just have no opportunity to watch something like that on DVD anymore. For a while, I subscribed to their streaming service, but it was too expensive for how much I used it. But then I found that a lot of them are free on different library streaming services, or streaming services affiliated with libraries. Like, there are a lot on Hoopla, though I haven't done any on there yet. And there's a service called Canopy, with a K, that one of my libraries has, and it has a lot of great courses on it. So I got very excited and went through and saved a bunch to watch. And I've been sort of slowly watching through some, and I just finished a couple days ago watching through one called How to Write Best-Selling Fiction. And it was just so good. The guy doing the course had a great grasp of storytelling and writing, many years of experience in the business of both traditional and indie publishing, and just was a really good, engaging teacher. And it just really got me fired up again, because it's just amazing to me how listening to or reading from someone that is really good at storytelling and listening to them teach about it, talk about it, write about it, whatever it is, can just be so inspiring. Like, it can make me want to go, like, write all the things right now. Like, it's just so helpful. And I mean, there obviously is a practical side to it. Like, I learned a lot of helpful things from this course, like, specifically, and I took notes, story structure type things, marketing things, just a lot of really helpful pointers. But even beyond that, there's just this general, like, sense of motivation and inspiration that gets fired up whenever I watch or listen to or read something like that. And so it made me think I need to do that more often, because I do get in a place where I'm just sort of discouraged in my writing, kind of feeling a little bit lost, or, is it worth it to do this? Things like that. And when I do really immerse myself in some good, solid teaching about writing, about, it could be any side of it. It could be the actual writing. It could be, like, there was a sci-fi writers online conference I attended a couple years ago that had the same effect. Like, whatever it is, I guess it's partly just hearing from other writers and being inspired by them, and also just sort of remembering what it is that I love about the craft and about writing and stories and words and all of that. It's good to be reminded, and it's super helpful. So it made me think I need to be more intentional about seeking those kinds of things out, like at least a few times a year, some kind of course or conference or book, or because it's had the same effect. Some books I've read last year when I was struggling to get back into writing after my youngest baby was born, I read a book called Write a Novel in 10 Minutes a Day, and it was written by a busy mom, and that was so helpful. That really did give me the inspiration and motivation that I needed to get myself back into writing again. And the same years ago when I was a new mom and really struggling with finding how writing could fit into my life. And I read a series of books by my friend and fellow author Angela Castillo about, the busy mom's guides to writing and publishing and marketing. And that kind of lit a fire under me to get back into it and figure out how to make it work in my life. So I want to be more intentional, like I said, of seeking those things out regularly so I can stay motivated and just stay reminded of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and that I'm not alone in it. There's all these people that love it and that have pursued it and that have pursued it successfully, which also gives me hope and encouragement. So it's just been really great to go through this course. And if you're a writer, I definitely recommend it. See if your library maybe has it or has it on Canopy or Hoopla, or if you can get your hands on it. I really thought it was an excellent writing course. So thank you all so much for listening this morning. Thank you for bearing with me as I figure out my new recording process. I actually think this is probably, better quality than what I've been doing. So hopefully it sounds great. Sounds okay, at least for y'all. But regardless, thank you for listening. Please let me know if you are a writer. Do you find it as painful as I do to write first drafts, or really any kind of creative? Do you find the creative process to just be very difficult in the moment? Let me know. If you've read A Woman of No Importance, please let me know your thoughts, but be nice to me if you don't like the fact that I didn't like it. And then if you have any recommendations for great teaching about writing, books about writing, any of those kinds of things that I can use to help find that inspiration and encouragement and motivation, please let me know. So thank you again so much for listening. I hope that everyone has a great day and a great weekend ahead, and stay improbable. Bye.